Hi, I'm Joanne Allenbott with Pig Health Today, and I'm visiting with Kim VanderWaal, who is an associate professor at the University of Minnesota. Kim, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We're going to be talking a little bit about PRRS and some of the new sublineages, but first let's talk a little bit about PRRS in general, why this has been such a problem for producers and veterinarians.
Yeah, so PRRS is an RNA virus, and like many RNA viruses, it has a very high rate of evolution. And even amongst RNA viruses, it's right near the top in terms of what we can observe about how fast it changes. And there's many other reasons why PRRS is hard to control, but the fact that it changes so fast does generate a lot of genetic diversity, and that also makes it very antigenically diverse. And what the implications of that is that there's a lot of different strains out there, and it's hard to get good cross protection amongst different strains.
So when does a sublineage become a sublineage?
We generally use a rule of thumb that would probably be around 7% different. We would start thinking about it as potentially a different sublineage. The sublineages that we have defined thus far, we have based on a data analysis that we've done that tries to find the optimum number of groups within it to kind of maximize the differences, the genetic differences between sublineage and make compact groups of viruses that are relatively similar.
How many sublineages of PRRS have you identified?
Well, we've defined 8, and that's based on data from the United States. Certainly, and these are all lineage 1 viruses within the United States. If we looked worldwide, certainly lineage 1 is a very common type of virus or type of PRRS throughout the world, and there's probably a lot of additional sublineages for lineage 1 PRRS if we look much more broadly.
So let's talk a little bit about the 144 sublineage that seems to be on producers and veterinarians' minds a lot right now.
As of now, we probably would not say that it's its own new sublineage yet, but we have looked at the early evolutionary dynamics that we can see for this L1C144 variant. And basically, the rate at which it's expanding from an evolutionary sense does look like the early periods of the other emergence events of other sublineages over the last decade. We've also looked at the whole genome of this new variant, and it appears to have some evidence of recombination. So while we say it is a sublineage L1C, that's something that's based on OR5, and OR5 is only 4% of the genome. So if you zoom out and look across the entire genome, it looks like there's some evidence of recombination, and it might have a little bit of a virus that we would classify as a 1A virus. So it actually lines up to that would be a 174. So that's going to be something that we're going to delve in further about what's the significance of having that little piece of a 174 virus inserted into part of the whole genome.
So what are next steps in terms of research needs?
So for me, the next steps are we have ample evidence right now that suggests that strain emergence of novel sublineages or novel variants could be potentially related to immunity in the population. And so we can see evidence of that, but we haven't done the full workup in the lab, from an immunological standpoint to really nail that down and confirm that. So we'd like to see some more studies on PRRS cross-protection between different sublineages. And then the other key parts is that right now, and this is true of the entire scientific community, is that we don't have a great understanding of the genetic determinants of virulence or of cross protection. So as we start looking at especially whole genome data, trying to make interpretations from that can be about why does this particular genetic difference matter. That is still an area that needs to be more further studied.
So what else would you like to add about this sublineage or the research or anything else that's important for our readers to know?
Well, I think one of the interesting things is, we've known for a long time that there's a lot of different strains of PRRS out there, and they all are co-circulating. And what we've seen in our research is that we get this turnover in the dominant sublineage, and that turnover occurs about every 3 years. So every 3 years, we get a new dominant sublineage, and actually the emergence of this new L1C144 variant actually follows pretty well along the lines of what we'd expect based on looking in the past dynamics of how these different strains are co-occurring in the industry.